What is up, guys? My name is Pocketcraft and welcome back to another Legendary Monday. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can get Yveltal and Xerneas, as well as their shiny forms, easily in Cobblemon. I'm going to go through absolutely everything you need to know and give you some great tips and tricks along the way, so make sure to stick around to the end of that video and hit that subscribe button if at any time you find this helpful. Now, the first thing you need to do is make sure you have the Cobblemon's data pack installed. Follow the data pack down in the description, or you can just go to pocketcraft.net and I'll have my mod pack listed there. You'll just want to make sure that you have this in the data pack and resource pack folder and that you select it here in your resource packs. Otherwise, this won't work. Then I'll start with how to get the normal forms, and then we can talk a little bit about the shiny forms. So starting with Yveltal, it is an ultra rare spawn in forest biomes. I always highly recommend using the Pokenav mod when you're hunting for rare Pokemon, to make sure that the Pokemon you're looking for is actually spawning in the area that you're hunting. So you can see here with Pokenav mod in forest biomes, at night, Yveltal is an ultra rare spawn. And you can even see the exact time period with this mod of where it spawns between 6:32 p.m. and 5:27 a.m. in Minecraft time. So he's actually gonna be one of the harder legendary Pokemon to find, just because forest biomes are so saturated with many different legendary Pokemon, but this is going to be your best place to hunt for Yveltal. Now, Xerneas is an ultra rare spawn in floral biomes, so that's going to be the best place where you want to hunt for this Pokemon. Now, floral biomes are a little bit harder to find, unfortunately, but they are less competitive as far as ultra rare spawns go. So that's where these Pokemon spawn, but I'm going to give you some tips on how you can actually find ultra rare Pokemon a little bit more easily. And just remember that for each of these strategies, you want to do it in the specific biome of the Pokemon. So for Xerneas, do it in floral biomes, and for Yveltal, in forest biomes at night. You can build a giant sky platform high up in the sky, and you're going to want to make this about 60 blocks by 60 blocks at a minimum. I haven't completely filled it in here, but if you do, it's pretty massive and it's super effective. As you can see, there's already a Miltank spawning over there, but if you fill this in completely, you'll have Pokemon spawning all over the place. And then what you can do is just take a sword and knock these Pokemon out, or just push them off the edge here, which does feel a little bit evil. But as you can see, Pokemon will continue to cycle in really quickly, and it'll obviously be more if this is filled in completely. But you can just take them out over and over again, and this actually cycles through the spawns a lot more quickly than down on the ground. And you could obviously do this on the ground, but there's going to be obstacles and trees and things that make it a little bit more difficult. Whereas here, you can just go through and do it quickly, and this will allow you to get more spawns in at a much quicker rate, allowing you to find any ultra rare Pokemon much more easily. What I always recommend to people is you can just pick the biome that you want to hunt in. So for example, if we're in the Stony Peaks or in the Badlands, and then just do things you would already do while playing Minecraft. So mine for some resources, train up your Pokemon to get to level 100, build a special farm, or just a cool build that you've been wanting to implement in your world to make things look nicer. You can look on my survival guide series for a bunch of different farms that are helpful in Cobblemon, or my Pokemon Center build, which I'll link in the description if you want something cool to liven up your world. These don't make the Pokemon spawn any faster, but they make the process more enjoyable. And I've found most of my rare Pokemon while I'm just doing cool things like that, and it's way more fun than just running around in circles for hours until the Pokemon you want spawns in. So that's how you can find ultra rare Pokemon more easily. But once you find them, they're actually very difficult to catch. So I want to give you a couple tips on how to catch ultra rare Pokemon right now. Then after that, I'll talk a little bit about how you can get the shiny forms of these Pokemon. We'll use Regigigas for example, because he's massive, which makes things a little bit more fun. So I recommend when you enter the battle to start off always with a quick ball. Unless, of course, if you have a master ball, you can just go ahead and use that. But if you have a master ball, you're not really worried about how to catch the Pokemon, so that doesn't really apply here. But if you don't have a master ball, throw a quick ball your first turn. It has a ×5 catch rate, and a lot of times you'll get lucky and catch it on the first throw. And we'll see if we do here. Ooh, we almost got it there. So if you don't catch it on the quick ball, that's where we need more strategy. So I recommend always bringing a Pokemon with False Swipe. Glade is my go-to for a couple of reasons. He has the ability Sharpness, which makes False Swipe do more damage. He also has a pretty high physical attack stat, which helps with this as well. Then typically I recommend trying to get a high IV Glade and then maxing out its attack stat, which I haven't done here for this tutorial. But if you do that with EVs, this is going to be the most effective method. And then put a move like Hypnosis on it, or get another Pokemon with Stun Spore so you can get a status effect, which will also make it easier to catch the Pokemon. As far as other team members, you're just going to want some high level Pokemon that you can switch into if Glade gets knocked out to buy you some time. And then I would usually recommend bringing some max revives as well, so that if Glade gets knocked out and the Pokemon isn't at 1 HP, you can revive them and continue with the process. Then at that point, you just want to False Swipe it down to 1 HP and give it a status condition. And now Glade isn't the only Pokemon that you can use for this. There's other Pokemon with False Swipe. Ninjask is one, Alolan Marowak is one, Scyther, Caesar. There's a couple Pokemon out there. Gallade's one of my favorite. I feel like it's one of the most useful. And Breloom is usually the best in normal Pokemon games, but Breloom can't learn False Swipe in Cobblemon, so it's not nearly as useful here. Once you get the Pokemon to 1%, like I said, you want to give it a status condition. And a lot of times Hypnosis is helpful for the main reason that if you are before turn 10, you can use a Dream Ball, which will have 4 times effectiveness if the Pokemon is asleep. So this is going to be your best bet before turn number 10. If the battle gets to turn number 10, then you can go ahead and use a Timer Ball, and this will be the same effectiveness, and it's a little bit cheaper to craft than a Dream Ball. Now, once you're to this point, you can just keep following the same process, making sure they have a status condition, throwing either a Dream or Timer Ball based on the situation, and if you do that, you should be able to catch your legendary Pokemon without too much difficulty. So I actually think Xerneas especially, and also Yveltal, have some of the coolest shiny forms of any legendary Pokemon. Xerneas especially looks epic here in Cobblemon. So I know you guys are going to want to know how to find a shiny form. And luckily, these Pokemon are not shiny locked, so you can find their shiny forms. It's just going to be very difficult. There are 2 main strategies you can use and combine to do this. The first one is to change the shiny rate, which if you've watched any of my videos about shiny hunting in Cobblemon, you'll know how to do. If you don't know how to do that, it's kind of a separate topic, so I'll leave a link in the description below. But that's not super targeted, it's just the overall shiny rate, and I also know that some people don't really like changing the shiny rate in their world. So if you don't want to do that, then your next best option, or what I would recommend combining these 2 options, is to use the Cobblemon Unchained mod. This mod allows you to form a chain of Pokemon by knocking them out or catching them. So if you catch multiple Xerneas or Yveltal, your chain for that Pokemon will increase, just like you'll see often in the normal Pokemon games. And that will give you a better chance of that Pokemon spawning and a better shiny rate. So obviously this is still going to be incredibly difficult because these Pokemon are ultra rare spawns and they're hard to find in the first place. But if you're really committed to that shiny legendary, that's probably going to be your best bet, unless you're playing on a server where they give special shiny odds. But that's how you can get Yveltal and Xerneas as well as their shiny forms in Cobblemon. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and that subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys all in that next video.